Hi there, as you can see, I do have offices now, but I'm still working from home currently, but thought it was time to get the video blogs back on the road again since my Fiji one, where you all looked at my mangoes. I thought I would do a bit of a series on some of the fundamental aspects of some of the trading strategies, mostly because I get a lot of emails and phone calls. In fact, just this week I've had several from people who, even though they might have watched the DVD or heard me speak or whatever the situation might be, but they kind of still seem to be a bit stuck on some of the practical aspects. So for those of you who are already doing assignments and things, you don't need to watch. But for the rest of you, just especially for those of you who are like, okay, what do we do? So I thought we'd just maybe go through. We'll do an assignment and do a double settlement, and I'll actually go through the paperwork and just make sure that you know kind of exactly what you're doing. Because there seems to be quite a lot of confusion from people about exactly what to do and how to do it, and I always endeavour to try and explain it as well as I can. And I kind of think that particularly in the DVD that information is covered well, but however some people are struggling with that. So we'll start off with an assignment. Okay, so if we're doing this, we're going to do what are the practical aspects of an assignment? Okay, so if we're doing an assignment, we're going to get a property under contract. What does that mean? What we're going to do is we're going to get we're going to enter into a sale and purchase agreement. Okay, so we're going to fill out a sale and purchase agreement, and the bulk of that you should be au fait with. You can get one of my newsletter archives that will go through all of the details, but in the case of an assignment, the critical thing really is that the purchaser, the purchaser's name must be your XYZ Trading Trust. As trustee for, XYZ Limited as trustee for the XYZ Trading Trust. Okay, so as you should have heard by now, if you've watched my DVD, ever heard Matthew Gilligan or Garth speak or spoken to anyone else, you must have a trading trust with a corporate trustee for doing even assignments now. Okay, it's on my DVD. I didn't teach it in Auckland and Wellington because the law only changed this year. So that is the first thing. So don't worry about going and doing an assignment until you've got the appropriate structure set up. Okay, that's where that's one thing that you must have on the sale and purchase agreement. Okay, and the other thing is you need a clause to enable you to get out of the agreement if you have to. All right. So what you do is you go to my website. You go to www.massiveaction. Massive can't spell action.co.nz. Then you click on Investors Library. And then you click on clauses. Okay, and you can use, you can just use, there is one as they're the same clause, but use due diligence clause, or you'll see when you go to that page on the website that the same clause is there under the name purchaser's condition. Now, what both of those clauses mean, they're actually the same, but what they mean is that you can effectively exit that deal for any reason. All right, so you're going to be doing some work on this deal, whether it was analysing whether you wanted to buy it yourself, just finding out, whatever. In this case, you're going to try and find another buyer, okay? But if you can't find one, you can let the contract lapse. There's no problem. You don't have to give a reason or an explanation as long as you're using a correct clause, all right? So that's that. And the only other thing you need to know is to make sure that under the deposit, so where you put in the deposit on the sale and purchase agreement, you put these words. You put whatever the amount is, and you make it payable on unconditional date. Okay? Now, when you are assigning, the other details or information is fairly academic. You don't normally, those of you who know my strategies, you don't, if you're assigning, you wouldn't necessarily try and get long settlement and be all clever with stuff. So you just put a reasonable settlement period down. And there's nothing else that is really critical, because I'm trying to pitch this for those of you who are starting out, or maybe you're already an investor but now you're looking at trading. So if you want to start off with assignments, the only thing that is really different is you must be in the name of your trading trust. Make sure you're not paying a deposit until unconditional date, and that's about it really. All right, so you are looking for a property. So you find a property and you enter into a conditional sale and purchase agreement. Okay, because it's got a due diligence clause or a purchaser's condition, it's referred to as a conditional agreement. Okay, so you found a property, you now have conditional S&P. Now, when you are assigning, normally you will not be dealing with an emotionally in buyer, because normally with assignments, whether your purchaser's condition or your due diligence clause, you would have been able to get 10 or 15 days. So you've effectively got maybe 2 to 3 weeks to find a purchaser for that property. So the other thing, for those of you starting out, to understand that, what does this property have to be? Well, typically it will be one of two things. Remember, you have to be able to on-sell it quickly. Well, we'll talk about 3 things. So you are not going to be, you can't give it to an agent. In reality, from a legal point of view, you could give it to an agent and get them to on-sell it. In practical terms, just forget it. It's too hard and it's too complicated, and a lot of agents have a problem with it. So you've got to get a property under contract that you can sell quickly. So what are the 3 things that would cause a property to be able to be sold quickly? There may be more, but in simple terms, number 1 is that it's got lots of equity in it. So we'd refer to it as an equity deal. So you manage to find a property and get it under contract for a lot less than it's worth. And some investors like equity, they're more concerned with that than anything else. I probably fall a little bit into that category. If I can purchase a property for enough under what it's worth, then it becomes a good deal for me. The second thing that will make it easy to get a deal on sold is where the yield is high. Okay, so that might be in a smaller town, it doesn't have to be, but where there may be multiple income streams, something about the property that it throws off a lot of income. And so in that situation, you can target investors with these. All right, so therefore you're not having to go through the normal process of trying to sell. Well, the third thing that is useful with assignment is when you are buying to order. In other words, somebody who you know has contacted you, or you've contacted them, and they are looking for a particular property. So let's say, for example, that you had somebody who said, look, I'm looking for a house in Pakuranga for around about $400,000, and can you help me find one? So you go and find a property on the market for $420, you beat them down to $390, You get it under contract with a conditional sale and purchase agreement. So all you need is enough time to get your people to go and look at it and decide if they want it. And if they do, they'll go unconditional on that contract. All right? So this is what you're looking for. You're not going to just go out and start signing up a whole lot of properties and try and assign them, because you've got to have in your mind, you need to be thinking, okay, who's going to want to buy this? So if it was a big equity deal or high yield, you'd get it under contract, contact everybody that you know, stick it on Property Billboard, stick it on Trade Me, just look for avenues where you've got a chance of moving it quickly. Okay, so that's where we're up to so far. So now you are going to find a buyer, all right? So you're looking for a buyer, and it's within this period that this agreement is conditional. So let's say that you pop up a buyer. Okay, you find somebody who says, yes, I'm interested in purchasing that property from you. What happens next?